going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. Tonight in movie reviews, we're taking a look at the latest installment of the Fear Street series over on Netflix. We are talking Fear Street Prom Queen. But let's not waste any time. Let's jump right on into it, y'all. If you haven't seen the trailer for Prom Queen yet, well, it's 1988, and it's time for the Shadyside High School senior prom. 6 girls are up for Prom Queen, including Tiffany Falconer and her dreaded wolf pack. But with a killer on the loose during prom night, getting the crown may be murder. And there it is, y'all. That is Fear Street Prom Queen. Now, Prom Queen does take place in the same setting, the same continuity as the 3 previous Fear Street films that we got 4 years ago. Kind of crazy to think that was 4 years ago when that trilogy came out. That was ridiculous. I don't know how y'all felt about those films, but the fact that they released a trilogy, an entire trilogy in a short span of time like that, each feeling decidedly different, each of them feeling like other horror films that we had seen before and bringing out a different horror subgenre in them. We had a great cast, great killer design in that, and it reached the aesthetic of the 90s, the 1600s, and then was it the 70s that the second one was set in? I apologize if it was set a bit earlier. I think it was the 70s there, but each of them were so decidedly different. Whether you really enjoyed all 3 or not, there was something there for everyone. And so it's just a little crazy to think it's been 4 years since we've come back to Shadyside. But the good thing here is that even though it's the same setting, same continuity, we don't need to worry about remembering too much from those past films, just as like the book series, each film is largely independent. Yeah, there's going to be a couple things at the very beginning that they make reference to that you'll know from those other films, but large and wide, you don't need to have like any kind of recent rewatch in the back of your mind with that. Now, this time around, we are following outcast Lori Granger, who is one of the finalists for Prom Queen. She's largely shunned due to the rumor that her mother killed her father so many years ago, but along with her best friend Megan, the two are bullied by school queen Tiffany Falconer and her group of cronies, the Wolf Pack. Now, Lori looks to make a change for herself as, school's getting close to ending, and she feels that by running for prom queen, she's trying to make a change in her own life, and she's doing something kind of to honor her mom as well too, as her mom at one point was kind of in the running for that and had this whole big controversy back when she was in school, and so she's trying to do something special for herself and for her mom. But as I said, a killer begins to knock off all these other candidates, and Lori and Megan have to figure out the mystery of who is behind these killings before they flunk out forever. Which, of course, they're in their senior year because they really flunk out, but it's a nice little sound bite there for y'all. Prom Queen definitely wants you to see it as somewhat as a coming of age high school story mixed with like your typical teen slasher. Like, I don't think anybody would watch this and not think that it's screaming John Hughes vibes, or it's trying to scream John Hughes vibes throughout the film itself. I mean, you got staples like Lori's into the bully's boyfriend, like that's the forbidden romance, or the fact that they imply that this boyfriend has a heart of gold. Like, yeah, he's dating the meanest girl at the school, but there's something cool and good and nice and sweet about him under the surface. The friend group of the bully slowly realizing that she sucks and that they should separate themselves from her. The lead character and her best friend having some kind of romantic or sexual tension that will never be acted upon, and that eventually will lead to a fight because their interests aren't aligned. Like, it's all there, all the staples that we're used to in these kind of high school coming of age films, but the execution just doesn't really connect the way that it feels like it's supposed to. Lori's school and home life, they have all the traits of the classic high school hero that we should love, but none of it really feels all that genuine, honestly. Lori doesn't seem like the kind of girl who would get bullied in the first place, and especially getting bullied by somebody like Tiffany Falconer. Like, it makes more sense that Lori would either be a part of that friend group, or she might even be like the lead or like the co-lead of this friend group there. So that seems very much like something that's being forced here. as well, like none of Tiffany's friends, the wolf pack, are really given their own personality. Like we see bits and pieces, but it's not really enough to see them outside of just being interchangeable heads. They're going to be killed off later on. Like one of the friends, sure, and this is the friend that does realize that, well, Tiffany sucks and I don't really want to be her friend anymore, and that's well and good, but the thing is that they don't really do enough with any of the rest of them to make them worthwhile to watch. And I don't know. Like, I feel between things like that, the boyfriend actually not having any reasons that we should think positively about him at all outside of the smile, none of it just really connects the way that it should as a high school drama. Like, again, there's certain pieces throughout the film that seem like, yeah, it works really well, but as a whole, it just doesn't come together as a competent high school teen drama that we have seen plenty of before. It just doesn't really work that. Now, on the horror front, we do get gruesome kills, a decent look for the killer, and plenty of victims to go through. Most of the action takes place on prom night, and this is really where the movie ultimately shines. Limbs get cut off, students are electrocuted, knives go directly in heads. The blood and gore has not dropped from the previous trilogy, even if nothing is coming close to the supermarket saw incident of Fear Street Part 1. Man, that one still caught me off guard, only because I didn't expect her to get it, man. Not that bad. Like, some of it is predictable though, as you should be able to work out the identity of the killer after the second or third kill. And remember, there are a lot of deaths in this film, so that's not exactly a good sign that you're able to work out who's behind it pretty earlier on. A sequence involving a paper cutter is one of my favorite limb cutting scenes in years, though. That is one thing that these Fear Street films are doing really right, is that they at least give us one memorable sequence that's going to stand up for quite a while. And I do think that the paper cutter sequence of this film is definitely going to be the one that's coming from this one for sure. The 80s aesthetic just doesn't feel genuine here. Like the music and the fashion are being thrown in our faces, but it feels like when you go past the 90s in a lot of movies and TV shows these days, you have to make your setting just scream that you're someplace older at that point, because from about the mid 90s on, everything seems pretty similar to where we're at today. So if you're going back past the mid 90s, there has to be a lot more, I feel, to truly immerse us into that environment, into that setting. The 80s is dangerously close to the way that current culture is in terms of what we listen to, how we talk, how we act, all of that stuff. And so the aesthetic here just felt a bit forced and fake. And that stinks because, again, the previous Fear Street trilogy, I thought, did a decent job being set in the 90s for the grand majority of it. And then, again, we go back to the 1600s and the 70s on top of that, too. But all of those aesthetics worked out very, very well in those films. I don't know why it didn't translate well here to Prom Queen, because I do feel that the 80s has always been one that's fairly easy to replicate at this time. Like, it's one of those ones where it's a lot of neon, a lot of bright colors, get those music cues right, and you're right in it. But something here about Prom Queen just didn't work the right way with that, honestly. There's a lot of negativity out here for this film, and some of it is justified considering how good the previous Fear Street trilogy really was. And while there's a lot that Prom Queen doesn't nail, I think it still overall accomplishes the goal of showing that there's more interest in adapting these Fear Street novels. Like, I think that this is something that Netflix should definitely continue. Let's not have a 4-year break between this one and the next one coming out, though, because very clearly we don't need to continue any of those stories. All of the books that Stine wrote are very much independent from each other. So you can have a new cast, new director, new writer every time. But let's keep trying at this, because I do think that this is a horror franchise that can work. We just got to get the right aesthetic on it to fit in with the horror elements. So Fear Street Prom Queen is going to get a 3 from me. That's right, folks. It's sitting at a 3 out of 5. I want to know in the comment section here what you thought about it, especially in comparison to the previous trilogy. Let me know all of that here right below in the comment section, folks. And of course, get subscribed, because we have so much other great horror content coming your way. Folks, we are going to finish up with season 2 of The Last of Us. We are talking The Bondsman, Black Mirror, and we are continuing on into my spooky summer spectacular. We got Dangerous Animals coming up. We got The Ritual 28 years later. So much stuff that I don't want y'all to miss, including coverage of my TV show, Better Luck Than Chuck. I say my TV show. I was lucky enough to be a contestant here on this show. I don't want y'all to miss coverage of that. And the best way to do that is to get subscribed to my link tree at linktr.ee/T Scary Movie. If you get subscribed, that's going to be access to my YouTube page for the video versions of the show, to your favorite podcasting platforms for the audio only versions of the show, to my Letterboxd page for written reviews and movie rankings through the year, to my TikTok page for movie news, movie premieres, and movie reviews, my Twitch page for horror gaming, and my Fangoria shop page where you can enjoy a 20% discount off anything in the Fangoria shop. Take advantage of that, y'all. Hit that subscribe button. Again, I got so much great horror content coming out your way. Check out the playlist section. If you're watching here on YouTube, I got a lot of stuff in there y'all are going to want to go back and take a look at there, including full season recaps for a lot of our favorite horror shows. But that is going to do it for me here tonight, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.